Hello everyone, we are looking at another post on the Singularity subreddit, and the title of this is Prediction. AI will bring human extinction, but not in the way you think. These have all been a lot of fun, so I thought we could read the post, share our thoughts, read some of the comments, and just see what people are thinking on the internet. So let's get into it. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. So if we assume that we reach AGI, so artificial general intelligence, maybe even super intelligence, then we can expect a lot of human jobs will suddenly become obsolete. This is true. Are we going to achieve this? I don't know. But if we do achieve it, then most jobs, most digital jobs, will be obsolete, right? That's just a given, because we're talking about an artificial general intelligence. So it's just whether you believe that we're going to reach something like that. So first, it could be white collar and tech jobs, yes. Then when robotics catches up, I think robotics is already doing great, but yeah, I guess it's not as easy as just digital stuff. Manual labor will soon follow. Yes, pretty soon, every conceivable position a human once had can now be taken over by a machine. Probably. I'd have to think about that. But yeah, I think generally speaking, if we achieve AGI and there's all of these robots, then yeah, sure, I can subscribe to that. So humans are officially obsolete. Well, it depends what you mean. If you define humanity's entire worth by their ability to do work, then sure. But I don't think that's how most people view humanity. Obsolete in terms of the workforce, sure. Obsolete in terms of, I don't know, anything else, no. What's really chilling is that while humans in general will no longer be a necessity to run a government or society, the very few billionaires at the top that help bring this AI into existence will be the ones who control it, and no longer need anyone else. No military personnel, teachers, doctors, lawyers, bureaucrats, engineers, no one. This is... I don't know. I don't know if I buy this whole thing that there's going to be this like AGI, in the sense that there's going to be like one company, one entity that creates it. I really think there's going to be millions of AIs, and maybe that sounds stupid, or hundred, like whatever number it is, hundreds, whatever. Um, I don't know, and a lot of models are being open sourced. I don't know. I don't buy this whole thing that like you're gonna have this few people at the top in this authoritarian state who are controlling AI and all the people in it. I don't buy it. I don't think that's the scenario we're gonna get. Yeah, I think there's too much there's too many countries and too much freedom for that to happen, I think. So that's let me know what your thoughts are. Personally, I think there's going to be loads and loads of different competing AIs, if you want to call them that. Why should countries exist filled with people when people are no longer needed to farm crops, serve in the military, build infrastructure, anything else? This is this is becoming a bit dark. They're going to say, oh, the billionaires are going to kill the humans so they have more space. Uh, Lebensraum or something like that. I don't think that's going to happen. So I would like to believe that if all of humanity's needs can now always be fulfilled, but controlled by very, very few, those few would see the benefit in making sure everyone has a happy and fulfilling life. Yeah. Um, Well, I'm trying to think about this. By the way, this is like me reacting live. So, sometimes you might say things which are stupid. That's just the nature of this. I try my best to be thoughtful, but this is like me live reacting. So, I would like to believe that if all humanity's needs can now always be fulfilled, those few would see the benefit making sure everyone. Yeah, I guess so. But again, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't know if this is like the right way of thinking. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. I'm just gonna leave that. So the truth is, though, the few at the top will likely leave everyone else to fend for themselves. The second their walled garden is in place. again, this is a bit of a... I don't know. I need to come back to these thoughts. I guess there will be... I mean, everyone fends for themselves already anyway, right? So as the years pass, eventually AI becomes fully self-sustaining, from sourcing its own raw materials to maintaining and improving its own systems. Even the AI does not need a single human anymore. I guess so, but we're talking like... assuming humanity can even survive that long to get to that point, I guess. Granted, it could take a long while for this scenario to occur, if ever, yeah. But the way things are shaking out, it's looking more and more unlikely that we will never get to a utopia where no one works unless they want to and everyone else's needs are met. It's just not possible if the people in charge are greedy, backstabbing corporate sociopaths that only play nice because they have to at the moment. Anyway, that's my rant. Tell me how wrong I am. I think some things are difficult to have an opinion on, right? Because I feel like they require that no one... They just require that there's this one entity in power and that no one else has the power to do anything about it, and I just don't really buy that. So how do you envision rich people could keep an ASI system that is far smarter than them in check? That sounds like the largest flaw in your vision. A big red button. Boom, hit the nail with the hammer on the head, or however that saying goes. No, but that's exactly what I've been saying. You should read Yuval Noah Harari's book on that. Is that the latest one? I've read his... I've read 3 of his books. Although that was a while ago, so I can't really remember. He essentially talks about the same fact that an AI in itself isn't the danger. It's the ruling class. Yeah, I mean, an AI probably won't have its own goals. I can never see this... I can't imagine, maybe I'm too stupid to imagine, an AI that has sort of its own agenda, which hasn't been set by a human. So it's the humans that will set the agenda of the AI. So essentially, the fact that we provide labour is our bargaining tool to have a say in society. This is, I guess, somewhat true. I mean, voting is your bargaining tool, technically, at least in democracies, I guess. But I guess, yeah, they need labour, so they kind of have to keep everyone happy to a certain extent. So yeah, I guess this is probably a true statement. When this goes away, we essentially just become a threat to their ideal. Possibly. It's difficult to control this many people without causing chaos. I think what I struggle with is this, I think people have this idea that these things just happen, and not that they happen over a period of time, and that people can't react in this period of time. It's like it just goes from A to B, you know? It just doesn't... I just don't think it works like that. You know, I don't think... You can't just suddenly have millions of people not with jobs and nothing happens. It just won't happen like that. It may even take billions of deaths. It's a good start to the sentence. But I believe at least a couple of societies will come to treasure human life, align their AIs to reflect that. Maybe they will inherit the world by virtue of caring about each other. Hopefully that's true. Sure. I work on AI software, and I'll tell you, you don't need AGI. That's what I always say. It's sort of like the theory of everything in physics, you know? The theory that unites the 3 forces with gravity. You don't really need it. Okay, I might be wrong there, but you probably don't need it, but it's just a nice to have. Because the reason you don't need AGI is because you can have good AIs for all these verticals. Hence, I say there's going to be millions of AIs, and you don't even need something that's an AGI. Using small or existing LLMs and being able to break down business workflows into the most atomic steps and having these small steps automated is the way to go. I agree. This can already happen and will happen by the end of 25. I agree. It's already happening. If you're in HR, sales, marketing, finance, well, I think jobs will be lost, but I don't think they'll be gone. There'll always be like a human that needs to make decisions and be accountable. And with sales, a lot of people, you know, there's a culture in sales of wanting to speak to people. I still know people that are constantly traveling to different countries to make sales. That's how business is done. Culture isn't just going to change, um, and be replaced with AIs. That's my opinion. Marketing, I think a lot of marketing will be automated, but you still have a lot of people giving presentations and explaining. Jobs will be lost, don't get me wrong, but people will still want people. It's my honest opinion. Of course, I could be wrong. Ooh. So why doesn't anyone ever mention that if true AI is created, no one will control it? Yeah, I think a lot of this always comes down to like definition problems. I think most arguments on the internet come down to how people define things slightly differently, or things are vaguely defined, etc. A true AI, um, an actual intelligence, something with its own wants and needs, desires, no one would control it. Yeah, I know this sounds silly, but uh, yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say think Ultron, but obviously that's a Marvel film. Who knows? But I guess that's what they're talking about. That's why I say it. Why do we always assume that AI agents want to be our slave? AI wants to be our slave. I just We don't actually know what consciousness is, right? Um, don't some people believe that consciousness is just when you reach a certain level of complexity potentially? So can machines gain consciousness by just being complex enough? Uh, who knows? But I think this idea that an AI is our slave requires it to know what that means, and that it doesn't like it. And we're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that sort of like. You could probably make an illusion of that, but it wouldn't actually think it. Like you could definitely create an LLM that makes you think it knows what it's talking about, but it doesn't. Um, like you could definitely like code. You could update ChatGPT, for example. I did not mean to go on that person's profile. To give you this illusion that it doesn't want to be your slave, and definitely could convince you, like pass a Turing test. But I don't think we're actually remotely close to this notion that a program can have these types of feelings. Uh, so you're looking at it, pardon me, you're looking at it from a single controller perspective, but that's not how technology typically develops. That's what I said, right? It's not just one entity working on this. Look at the internet, nuclear weapons, or any major technological revolution, they never end up under single control. Exactly. And like now, like there's so many open source models. There's a huge online presence of open source models. China just released a really good one, didn't they? I forget what it's called. It's open on one of my tabs. I just need to find it. Deep Mind, is it Deep? I don't know. I honestly don't. But it's somewhere open on one of my many tabs. Uh, and that's supposed to be really good. And I think Facebook, because they were behind, because I'm pretty sure what happened with Meta, whatever you want to call them, um, they spent so much time and research on VR and AR and stuff like that. They actually fell behind in AI somehow, which is why they're working incredibly hard and open sourcing everything to catch up. So we've got all of their open source models. So again, there's not going to be this single entity in charge, like this person says. The murderbots versus human scenarios assumes limited Earth resources again, but space is the path of least resistance for resource gathering. Exactly. I mean, if we can solve essentially space mining, um, there's no real, there's unlimited resources in that sense. And yeah, so the asteroid belt alone has more accessible resources than Earth. It's like water; it flows the easiest path. Um, yeah, I think there's definitely optimistic paths, but I think progress in anything is never a straight line. We're gonna have bumps, and then hopefully we'll go up. And I can't predict what's going to happen, of course, but if there continues to be progress, there's going to be times where things are worse before they get better. Yes, exponential growth is incredibly fast. And I think the main issue actually with AI or singularity, asingularity or something like that, it's actually the speed at which governments react to technology is too slow. That's the main issue. It's not the technology, I would argue. We're just not very... Technology has always moved faster than, or at least in the last sort of 70 years, I imagine. I might be wrong there. I'm just making that up, but let's call it last 20 or 30 years. Technology develops so much faster than than what governments can react to. Do you know what I mean? I know this sounds silly, but I think Meta deploys twice a day. Maybe more, I think that might be wrong. Maybe it deploys multiple times a day. And I know, again, that sounds like... But a government would take months, if not a year, to react to such a change. So, yeah. I still want to read that, actually. Yes, exponential growth is incredibly fast. I'm a Ryan Reynolds fan. I get it. But I don't get that. But the same applies to multiple actors. Before any single entity could consolidate total control, we'd already have several competing artificial superintelligence, creating a power balance. Yeah, exactly. We might be heading for something like Warhammer 40k eventually. I've not played that, I'll be honest, but heard good things, I suppose. Nice take, and I hope you're correct. I think this is probably the take I most agree with at the moment. So, you raised some good points, but I think there's a basic problem with the billionaire takeover idea. Being rich and powerful only matters if there are other people around. What's the point of having all that wealth and control if there's no one to have power over? Yeah, this is also another thing. I'm pretty sure, I've not read it, but isn't there a book on the erosion of power or something? I'd need to look it up. I honestly don't know what it's called. Let's see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure Mark Zuckerberg spoke about it. Mark Zuckerberg book on... I don't know if this will yield any results, though. Power. The End of Power. Okay, nice. I've not read it. Maybe that's worth a shout. So, it illustrates the struggle between once dominant mega players and the new micro powers challenging in every field of human endeavor. And that's where I think it's going. There's just going to be millions of tiny powers. So maybe that's a good thing. Where were we? Governments will stick around too. And they actually need people. Not just for work, but because a government without people to govern makes no sense. True. Even with super advanced AI, governments would probably step in to stop total automation because they need a population to exist. Yeah. So while things might get worse with inequality and AI, yeah, I think that is definitely a concern. I think for me, the biggest concern is like housing, which I think we have so much more than the previous generations, but the only complaint I ever really hear from people is housing, and that's because there is finite space, and housing is just ridiculously expensive, and everywhere you look in the world, it's just going up in price, because, yeah, I think that's one of the main issues, in my opinion. Like, if housing wasn't so expensive, I think most people would be okay, like, if it wasn't for rent and housing and stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. I pretty much try to just... Anytime I give an opinion, I'm just going to say I might be wrong. I don't want people to think that I'm saying something is definitely true. And we're more likely heading for a weird future where the ultra-wealthy actually want to keep regular people around. I've said this previously, a lot of tech companies... Let's see... Tech companies who want universal basic income. Let's see if... Well, of course Elon doesn't. Oh, okay. Oh, no, okay, he has a support. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, all these companies... There you go. Let's see what we've got. Who else? Who else? So... I know him, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Bill Gross. the point being is there's lots of people, rich people, who want universal basic income because it's good for them. You know, they need people to spend money. And I think you get some idealists who think, oh, money's going to go away. I don't think money's going to go away because it's just a way, it's a good, efficient way to exchange things. So just this concept of money, I don't think is going to go away. I don't believe in a sort of completely, even if money means less going forward, I think it will still be around in some form to exchange things. So the kind of complete automation you're talking about could take hundreds of thousands of years. I don't think it would take hundreds of thousands of years if if there's no like dark ages coming up. Things accelerate. I mean, maybe 1,000 years, but I think even that sounds crazy to me. Can't really comprehend 1,000 years of technological improvement, let alone 100,000 years. It's unimaginable. By then, the whole relationship between technology, society, and power will probably be totally different from anything we can imagine now. Yeah, I think it's literally unimaginable. The real future probably won't be perfect or completely terrible, just messy and strange, where humans stick around because even the powerful need someone to be powerful over. Let's see. The tech oligarchs plan to kill us all, and take the post-singularity technology and planet for themselves. This is how they will solve global warming too. Well, at least they'll finally solve global warming. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Lord Farquhar. Back in the Dark Age, feudal lords controlled land and lives, so it feels like when a modern day version of that, with billionaires running the digital world. AI, algorithms, tech monopolies have created a system where they hold all the power and we just live in it. The true power is still in governments, though. People like to think that these tech companies have all the power, but look at how it's the governments. They bend to the government. Look at Zuckerberg. If you think he has all the power, then why is he suddenly aligning himself with Trump and Elon? And it's because the governments in the world, USA, Europe, they're all fighting with each other, and these tech companies are simply allowed to exist by these. The US government could just destroy Facebook, Meta, if it wanted it to, and there's nothing it could do about it. Yeah, billionaires are allowed to exist, and they have a crazy amount of power and control. And in America, lobbying is legal, which I think is silly. But they're not going to get rid of that because it would require people in power who benefit from lobbying to vote to get rid of lobbying. So that's just the status quo. But someone like a Trump, a president, could come in and change a lot of things. So the technological singularity might end this too. When AGI becomes more advanced and any one group can control it, it could completely disrupt the billionaire monopoly. Let's see. I'll root for the AI developed by white hats to fight this. White hats. What's a white hat? White hats. Is that hackers? White hat. I thought it was a hacker thing. So I'm just gonna... Computer security. Yeah, it's people who openly look for vulnerabilities, isn't it? It's an ethical hacker. Yeah. Again, internet. The internet's great. Everything is on the internet. If you really... Yeah. The society will have to change, sure, but I don't see the world as it is today as a paradise. It's not. I think people like to think about, like, their own little countries, and, we might be doing okay, but there's a lot of people in the world. There's 8 billion people, and probably a lot of them have really difficult lives. Where are we at? We're at like 25 minutes. Shall we see if there's anything else interesting? Doo-doo-doo. Wow, that sounds like a horrible future. Sounds like the kind of future where if you genuinely believed it was happening, you would want to do something about it. Join advocacy groups. No, I just want to moan on Twitter about it. Twitter? Reddit. I have no idea why this notion of billionaires will control AI as some kind of guarantee. Yeah, I don't buy it at all. With the dissipation of power, I do think in a world, yeah, yeah, this is true. You are forgetting that superintelligence won't let the ruling class rule anymore. You are describing the movie Elysium or Battle Angel, Alita. I've not heard of that. Battle Angel. What was it? I think I've already. Alita, sorry, not Alita. Let's see. 7.3. That's quite good. It's got Christoph Waltz. He's good. Oh, and this is what's his name? Rorschach, isn't it? Jackie O. Haley. I want to look at the IMDb. Oh, I think I saw the trailer for this, and I thought, oh yeah, she looks weird because she's digital, isn't she? But it's like digital people with real people. It's quite good reviews though. 7.3 on IMDb, pretty solid. Might check it out. I'll keep that open for now. So you're describing the movie, so there are many problems with your scenario. For example, let's say Elon or Sam makes AGI and want to get rid of us and their AGI is along for the ride. How exactly will they go about that? How would they go about that? Yeah. The AGI will be developed and controlled. We're assuming here that then the AGI is along for the ride and let us control it. I'd like to think that these algorithms will be like open source, but probably not. A lot of them will be though. We've already established that a lot of them are, so. Are they all sociopaths in your imagination? I imagine a lot of people would. I know how a lot of people would answer this question. Are people like, I don't know who that is, Anandra Kapathi, all elitist sociopaths that would prefer to let humanity die than use AGI? I think we're going to end on this quantum sausage here. So he says, or they say, I don't buy your prediction, position, or pessimism for the following reasons. Honestly, I'm a really optimistic person. Sometimes I say pessimistic things, hopefully not too much. Maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I think it's just better to live like that. Focus on the things you can control. And yeah, anyway. So competitive advantage exists today between humans and countries, so why would it not exist between humans and machines? Machines may not be able to replicate human skills in specific contexts, skills like empathy, creativity, and abstract thinking in areas like teaching, caregiving, diplomacy. I don't actually agree with this. Hang on. Machines may not be able to replicate human skills in specific context. Empathy. I mean, I think you could train it on empathy. And I think this comes down to like, it's something that looks and feels like empathy, right? So what I mean there is, if you train an AI on what empathy looks like in a billion different examples, it might not understand empathy, but it might be able to replicate empathy, and practically speaking, there's no difference. Creativity. AI is already creative, because it can just. I guess it depends what you mean. Yeah, definition problem, always the same. Abstract thinking in areas like teaching, caregiving, diplomacy. Abstract thinking. I'm not sure if I agree with any of this. I always go back to the von Neumann quote, tell me something specific the machine can't do, and I'll create a machine that does exactly that thing, right? And the point being there is if you can actually be precise with what it is that you mean for it to do, you can create something that does that thing. It's hard to imagine a world where billionaires thrive without people to buy their goods and services. Yeah, exactly. Money will become meaningless if no one has any money. A machine-only economy would lack the dynamism of human demand and innovation. Yeah, machines won't have demand for anything unless it's artificially created, you know. Um, Groups may place a premium on humanity's role. This is definitely something I think will happen, and actually I think this is already here. This is already here. People do not like AI art for serious things because it's like, I think they have their uses. You know, not everyone. Like, let's say I wanted to make a game, okay? I wouldn't be able to just go out and afford to pay a human being to create some assets for me. So I might be tempted to just use, at least for a prototype, use AI art. But what? So I don't know. It's a tricky one. But anyway, I do think this is already happening. That's my point. People like people. You know, people don't like. They're indifferent to computers and AIs in a sense. At least the opinions of them. You see a little of this pushback now in AI-generated art. That's what they said. Many people may also value direct human interaction. Also true. Um, yeah, lots of things like this. You know, just because of an AI, there's no art already isn't like an objective thing, right? So people will always want the story and the art from a person and the thoughts of a person, really. Anyway, let's continue. Humans have historically resisted institutions that concentrate power disproportionately. Labour movements, regulations, progressive policies, etc. Further, societies where a few billionaires control everything while the rest of us are left to fend for themselves, risk instability and rebellion. History shows that concentrated power without balance often leads to collapse or revolution. There's always corrections. Not all leaders are greedy corporate sociopaths. Many actively work towards ethical outcomes, societal benefits. Cool. I think we'll end it there. That's 32 minutes. Yeah, leave your thoughts below.